Remember the Alamo, a fight for freedom. The Texas Revolution, a small word for a big fight. It was 1835. Texas, then part of Mexico, rose up. They wanted independence. Against them stood a powerful Mexican army. Names like Travis, Crockett, and Bowie echo through time. The Alamo, a symbol of courage. A small band of Texans held out for 13 days. Against overwhelming odds, they fought. They fell, but their sacrifice fueled a rebellion. The Battle of San Jacinto, a decisive victory. Texas won its freedom. A new republic was born. The Lone Star State, forged in fire, shaped by struggle. A legacy that lives on in the hearts of Texans. But the fight for Texas wasn't just about ideals. It was about something much more tangible. It was about land. Land for heroes. A promise written in ink, fading with time. Texas, vast and untamed. A prize worth fighting for. To attract settlers, the new republic offered a powerful incentive land. Acres upon acres of fertile land. A promise made to soldiers and citizens alike. Land grants became the building blocks of a nation. But these grants, often hastily drawn up, lacked precise boundaries. Descriptions were vague, relying on landmarks that shifted or vanished. Rivers changed course, trees died, stones were moved. These imprecise records, passed down through generations, planted the seeds of future conflict. What seemed clear then became a recipe for confusion. What was once a symbol of hope became a source of contention. Lines in the sand. How vague borders breed modern disputes. Fast forward to the 21st century. Texas, a booming state, cities sprawling, suburbs expanding. The land once sparsely populated, now a patchwork of homes, businesses, and communities. And those old land grants? They haven't disappeared. They're resurfacing, like ghosts from the past, to haunt the present. Where one family sees their rightful inheritance, another sees an encroachment. Disputes erupt over boundaries. Who owns what? Where does one property end and another begin? What was once a whisper of uncertainty becomes a roar of conflict. Neighbors, once friendly, now face off across property lines. The past intrudes on the present. The case of the crooked fence. One neighborhood's battle with history. Consider the quiet Oakwood subdivision, a place where children played and neighbors chatted over fences, until, that is, the arrival of a new resident, Mr. Jones. Armed with a surveyor's report and a copy of a land grant from 1838, Mr. Jones declared that a sliver of land, including part of his neighbor's yard and the beloved oak tree, belonged to him. Mrs. Smith, whose family had lived there for 3 generations, was aghast. Her deed clearly showed the property line, but Mr. Jones's claim, based on the old grant, predated her deed. The oak tree, a landmark on the original grant, became a point of contention. What followed was a year-long legal battle. Lawyers were hired, experts consulted, and tempers flared. The cost of the dispute far outweighed the value of the disputed land. The neighborhood, once peaceful, was now riven by suspicion and animosity. Section 5. Generations divided, when old grants collide with new dreams. The case of Oakwood subdivision is not unique. Across Texas, similar scenarios are playing out. Families, businesses, even entire communities grapple with the legacy of these ambiguous land grants. A developer breaks ground for a new shopping center, only to be halted by a descendant of the original grantee claiming ownership. A farmer finds his access road blocked by a neighbor citing a 19th century document. Disputes can arise over anything from mineral rights to water access. The past has a way of resurfacing, disrupting the present and casting a shadow on the future. The lines drawn so long ago, once faint and easily ignored, are now bold and contentious. Section 6. Lawyers and land surveys. The messy business of settling the past. Resolving these disputes is a complex and costly process. It often involves teams of lawyers, historians, and surveyors, painstakingly poring over old documents, attempting to reconcile vague descriptions with modern-day realities. Courts become the battleground where history is debated and interpreted. Judges grapple with archaic language and conflicting evidence. Decisions are made, appeals filed, and still, the conflict lingers. The process can be emotionally draining and financially ruinous. Neighbors become adversaries, families are torn apart. The land, once a symbol of unity and promise, becomes a source of division and strife. Section 7. Beyond the deed, the intangible value of historical disputes. The impact of these disputes extends far beyond property lines and legal fees. They touch upon something deeper, something intangible but deeply felt, a sense of history, of heritage, of belonging. For some, these land grants represent a tangible link to their ancestors, a physical manifestation of their family's story in Texas. To lose even an inch of that land feels like losing a part of their history. For others, it's about fairness and the sanctity of legal documents. They argue that the law is the law, regardless of when it was written. To disregard old grants, they argue, undermines the very foundation of property rights. Section 8. A shared legacy. Finding common ground in the shadow of conflict. Is there a solution to this ongoing saga of land disputes? Perhaps not a single easy answer, but there is a need for greater awareness, for understanding, and for compromise. Title insurance companies are increasingly requiring more thorough historical research to prevent future disputes. Communities are exploring mediation and alternative dispute resolution methods to find amicable solutions. Perhaps most importantly, there's a growing recognition that these disputes are not just about land. They're about people. People with histories, with emotions, with deep-seated connections to the land they call home. Section 9. Texas, Land of Stories, where history still unfolds. The story of Texas, a story written in land, continues to unfold. The legacy of the Texas Revolution, a fight for freedom and for land, still resonates in the 21st century. The lines drawn in the past continue to shape the present, but perhaps in these disputes there's an opportunity to learn from the past, to understand the complexities of history, and to find a way forward that respects both the past and the present. For in the end, these disputes remind us that history is not just something we read about in books. It's alive, it's present, and it continues to shape our lives in ways both big and small.